it's crazy to say given what they've done to Tennessee over the past 20 years, 2-18, the past 20 years. But when we talk about programs on decline, how in danger is Florida of the bottom falling out of that football program?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When you look back at what Florida's done, again, talking about track records, long term, Florida was great under Steve Spurrier, a dominant program. Probably would have won more than one national championship if not for the fact that Florida State in particular was at the top of its game during that period in the 90s. Urban Meyer, one of the great college coaches of all time, won 2 national titles. But go back and look at all of other Florida's coaches and what that program has done. It's not been Alabama-like. It was a program that years ago we always used to look at and say, boy, Florida has so much potential, great recruiting base, all this stuff. But that potential was never realized for so long. It couldn't even win an SEC championship. So I think there is concern there for Billy Napier in particular. Florida fans have kind of gotten spoiled offensively with Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. It's not the fact that Florida didn't just lose last season. It lost in boring fashion often, even with a spectacular quarterback. So I think you really have to wonder about that program right now. And for the 2024 recruiting class, it's interesting that South Carolina is ahead of Florida. Just kind of makes you wonder about NIL. It makes you wonder about how invested the fans are now. The Swamp isn't what it used to be. That used to be a tremendous home field advantage. I don't see it as such anymore.
No, I agree. And for Billy Napier to be an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, in his background, to have Anthony Richardson say, man, I want to bolt, that tells me that he may be an offensive coach, but Anthony Richardson wasn't sold on him. That to me was a bit of an indictment for an offensive coach. Man, you see Joe Milton staying around at Tennessee to get some more coaching, and Anthony Richardson was on the first Greyhound out of Gainesville.
Yeah, and you go back and look, Florida fans might not want to hear this, but the best coach that's hired, other than the 2 great ones, Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier, was Dan Mullen. Yep. I mean, you look at what he did. I know he didn't recruit well enough, but I wonder with more help NIL-wise, if Florida would be better off sticking with him. We'll have to judge that in a few years with what Billy Napier does. But I think Billy Napier's really close to the proverbial hot seat right now.
I think he's really close to the proverbial Ron Zook.
Oh man!
I mean,
that's cold, Dave.
Zook was a great recruiter.
He was.
So, but he's a bad coach. I got so sick of SEC media days when everybody came up. Billy Napier, he's detail oriented. What does that mean? That he keeps his fly up? I mean, he detail oriented. Nobody says he does anything great, John. What does he do great?
He cleans out his closet well. You look at, I know that was stressed over and over and over, and that's kind of a play off Alabama and Nick Saban. Nick Saban is detail oriented. Yeah, but he also wins championships. I mean, it's good to be detail oriented, but you can't win on that alone. I keep a really nice schedule book here, but I mean, it's not going to write my columns for me.
and he's also, Saban is one of the best defensive backs coach in the history of man. Yeah. So sorry, Caleb, go ahead and then we'll let you out here, John.
No, it's fine. Yes. So John, looking at Tennessee's future, because we agree they're in great shape with NIL. So, how much better shape could they be in with? Okay, Florida is falling off the map. We both agree. Nick Saban may not be there much longer, and Georgia. I know they just won 2 national titles, but I mean, it seems like every other day you're finding an incident in the program that we all know, having covered Tennessee, incidents like this can undo a program very, very, very fast.
Yeah, they can. Also, sometimes it seems as though the teams with the most talent also have off the field issues. That was true with some of Tennessee's teams in the past. So I think catching Georgia is going to be a challenge because Kirby Smart's on the top of the mountain right now, and he's really good at motivating players. He's got to keep them out of jail, that's for sure. But he's got a lot of talent. And you look at you look at Georgia now the way you used to look at Alabama. No matter whom they lose, they replace him with another future NFL draft pick. And he's well stocked. You can't look at Georgia at any position really and say, well, that's a glaring weakness. There are no glaring weaknesses. But we're talking from a Tennessee perspective. I'm just saying the challenge will be catching Georgia. Not saying it's impossible, because Tennessee has so much going for it. Mainly, it finally has a really good coach.
John, I know you got some. Oh, sorry, John.
Well, no. When was the last time you said that? Butch Jones? Derek Dooley?
No, I didn't say that. Caleb loves Derek Dooley, though.
No, okay, John. I've always said that I think Derek Dooley made some mistakes, but I do think he probably took over the most impossible situation at the time he took over.
Oh, I agree, and I'm also safe. I feel safe in saying he had the highest IQ of the few coaches who followed him.
Fair.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, who
A
would
low
you
bar
pick?
for that, but sorry.
What?
I said there's a low bar to have a higher IQ than Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt, but I agree.
Yeah, who would you pick in a debate between Derek Dooley versus Jeremy Pruitt and Butch Jones could tag team one another and each come at Derek Dooley and he'd still win.
Yeah, like the high school trivia that's on PBS. They could have those two on one side, and then you could have Derek Dooley on the other. John, I know you got it wrong, but I want you to answer today's tough question, then we'll let you out of here.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Really quick and tight. What happens first? Alabama wins a national championship or Florida wins the SEC East?
Alabama wins the national championship.
Ouch.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree too. That wasn't
maybe
not as tough as I thought.
Hey, Jeremy Pruitt could have answered that question.
John, be well. I know you have an appointment to get to. We look forward to visiting with you throughout the summer, throughout football season, and keep up the great work.
Thanks, guys.